Mm-hmm. Okay, we live. Let's fucking do this shit, man. Yo, peace,
the problem
y'all.
for home studio owners like us
That's crazy.
is that our bedrooms,
Can
our
y'all hear
rooms
this
were
shit?
not built for audio production.
It's mad loud in my
Accuracy,
hair.
I would say,
Right
is
now.
the #1 issue plaguing
Hold
anyone
on,
that
bro.
isn't in a dedicated recording
Yeah, I hear it on the
studio.
desktop
There's
audio.
one
That's great.
plugin that I have on
Can y'all hear me?
literally every mix.
So this is what it looks like. Sound ID reference by SonarWorks.
Sound
Can y'all
ID
hear
by
this?
SonarWorks.
Sound ID reference from SonarWorks.
You're gonna scan different
Nah, y'all can't hear
parts
this shit.
of your room.
Using sound science and wizardry, they
Yo.
have tests on your monitors and headphones.
Then it
I don't even
generates
know
this
how the
curve right here
combination
to
feel,
correct
but
your speakers for the room, for your listening
I'm
position.
gonna turn it down
And it makes it
this
so
much.
easy to get everything sounding
just keep
right,
going,
for, like
fuck
in the
it.
car.
Sorry for the commercials, guys.
We headed out to Queens, South Side.
South
You got
Side, we
Jamaica
outside.
Avenue, Merrick Boulevard, Rochdale Village, Laurelton, Springfield.
I'ma see how the
Basically,
sound is later,
if you
fuck
know,
it.
you know. EBK is a unified outfitted group associated with a larger national gang known as the Bloods. They are from Southside Jamaica, Queens, specifically the southeast part. EBK is an acronym that stands for Everybody Killer. During late 2012 and early 2013, the gang was beefing with another crew called the Snow Gang. Side note, the Snow Gang is from the same hood as G-Unit, 50 Cent and those guys. Snow, in the world of Queens rap music, is said to stand for either Showin Ninjas Are Worth, or Swagger Ninjas Operate With. The group also goes by LOE, or Loyalty Over Everything. The first shooting occurred at 5 p.m. on January 7, 2013, when J-Rock, Raw, Jeff, Bang Out, Killer, and a female member named Day Day, along with unidentified EBK members, allegedly confronted rival gang members near Jamaica Avenue and Parsons Boulevard. Following a verbal
I remember the gang violence on fucking Jamaica Ave, bro. That was high school days. Babe, I'm live streaming. Just so you know.
exchange, one of the EBK members pulled out a pistol and shot a rival in the right foot. The group then fled the scene. More than 4 hours later, Killer, Black, and 2 other EBK members allegedly confronted another suspected rival at a deli located at 11602 Merrick Boulevard. Moments after arriving, an EBK member reportedly walked into the store, drew a .380 caliber pistol, and shot the suspected rival in the left abdomen. The EBK member intended on finishing the job. As he attempted to fire again, the gun jammed. They fled after the shooting. Both of the gang's targets were treated for their injuries at a local hospital. Detectives determined from shell casings recovered from both crime scenes that the same gun was used in each incident. EBK members and not mentioned would later be indicted for this, as well as gang assault. At the same time, the Wood City gang would be ringing bells. Not sure if EBK and Wood City are the same gang, but we do know that both gangs are affiliated with the Bloods. The beef would be fueled by death. Unfortunately, one family would take significant losses over the course of 5 years. In fact, some deaths in that family took place before this timeline, which culminated to what we are about to explain. Let's do some quick background. Gary grew up hard. He got into his fair share of street stuff, but would go on to obtain a city job, working as a mechanic for MT, I believe. Even with this, he was still affiliated with street dudes, some who weren't doing so well. He was a gambler and would often play cards at the barbershop after hours. 4 days after Christmas in 2010, Gary would take the car to the barbershop located on Liberty Avenue to gamble. While there, Kareem walks in. Kareem and Gary were pretty much cool. He had been to Gary's house a couple of times for dinner, but was one of the friends that Gary's wife was not fond of. Kareem had a short circuit and would often get really angry during the card games. This particular night, I believe that they were playing dice. At one point, Gary went to use the bathroom, Kareem followed him. A moment later, a gun went off. Kareem had shot Gary 5 times in the head and torso, killing him. Another man attempted to grab Kareem, and Kareem shot him in the hip and nose. Gary's wife was told to head to the barbershop by his brother Colin, a former NYPD officer. He told her that it was an emergency. Gary would leave behind a pregnant wife and a son, Khalil, who didn't cope well with his father's death. His uncle Colin tried to reach out to him, but Khalil had shut down. He dived deeper into the streets than ever before. Other members of the family also tried to reach him, but it seemed he was headed for the worst. Less than a year later, 19-year-old Devog would kill Khalil's uncle Colin while he was at a dice game. The shooting happened near 113th Avenue and Sutphin Boulevard, and allegedly, he was not the intended target. That was 2 deaths for the family, Gary and his brother, in less than a year. At this time, Khalil had pledged his allegiance to the Snow Gang, getting into more and more trouble. By 2013, he would lose another family member. A while back we did a story on now deceased G-Unit rapper, Maserati Fox. We will use an excerpt from that video to explain the situation. Fox would be incarcerated again in 2011 on an attempted assault conviction. Tragically, while locked up, his stepdaughter passed away. The death of Deasia Robinson was a tragic and senseless murder. The 14-year-old was a talented teenager with a bright future before her. The teen, who attended Campus Magnet High School in Cambria Heights, had just left a Sweet 16 party on May 18, 2013, and was riding the Q6 bus with friends when a stray bullet hit her in the head on Sutphin Boulevard, near Basley Pond Park. Shamil Capers was only 15 himself that night and eager to settle a Facebook beef with a rival gang member when he began squeezing
social media
off shots at the passing Q6 bus. Kevin, 21 at the time, also took his turn to shoot the same .40 cal into the bus. Allegedly, someone on the bus flashed gang signs. Kevin was already somewhat of a reputed gang member and got 40 years. Shamil got 15 years.
I send my deepest condolences to the Robinson family. Once again, I'm truly sorry for their loss. I'm not a criminal. I've never been a criminal.
Rapper 50 Cent says he sprung for the horse and carriage that carried the casket of slain 14-year-old Deasia Robinson at her funeral. People always try and paint negative images about me. I'm the most genuine, down-to-earth person, and I didn't forget where I came from. I came through for baby girl by providing a horse and carriage for her. She was pretty, innocent, and didn't deserve to die like that. R.I.P. He was freed again on December 20, 2013, 2 weeks before he was killed. That's the excerpt. What we failed to mention is that this shooting was gang-related, but also confusing based on police reports. So, the murdered 14-year-old was Khalil's cousin. Khalil was Snow Gang, but police reports said that the shooting was committed by a Snow Gang member. This war would go on for years after. Before we continue, we have to let you know what the update was for Capers. This took place in November of 2022, 8 years after the shooting.
A senseless murder that stunned a Queens community.
Everybody loves her.
It was May of 2013. Deasia Robinson was just 14 years old, headed home from a friend's party on the Q6 when a gunman began firing into the bus. Deasia was shot and killed, an innocent victim of gun violence. But for years, Shamil Capers insisted he was innocent too. Capers was one of 2 men convicted in Deasia's murder. But in court Thursday, prosecutors said they uncovered new evidence that proves the other man convicted in the case, Kevin McClinton, was the only shooter. They also found the one eyewitness to testify against Capers was lying in an effort to get a lower sentence in his own case. Shamil Capers sat in a Queens courtroom Thursday and learned the news. He was finally exonerated after a long legal fight.
I just want to get back to my family, Doctor.
Capers told Pix 11.
If he innocent, that's lovely. If he not, you already know what that means.
News he needs time to process his newfound freedom.
Just deal with having spent 8 years in prison for something he didn't.
The other man convicted in the case, Kevin McClinton, remains in prison, serving a sentence of 40 years.
So one of the most important things for me with anything on the 2 bus.
Let's talk a little bit about the Wood City Gang. Wood City members frequently associate with the Blood Street Gang, and many Wood City members are also members of the Bloods. Members also refer to themselves as the Yellow Tape Boys, and use the Yellow Tape Boys and YTB names in music videos, music, and social media.
I'm not gonna cap, the first time I seen the word yellow tape on some music stuff was Fab Dumb. I didn't know this was a thing.
To promote the gang and its members. You might be familiar with the drill rapper from Queens, Shawny bin Laden. This is the crew here reps, you already, YTB. In addition to Shawny bin Laden, YTB has mad other rappers, Big Yaya, Big Baby, it's just mad of them. It's to the point that, if you type in Woodhull on YouTube, they cover the whole algorithm, facts. The gang operates in the vicinity of Woodhull Avenue in Jamaica, Queens. Side note, saying Woodhull would not do this neighborhood enough justice. So, earlier we stated that the Snow Gang came up in the same hoods as G-Unit. Well, Wood City members come up in the same neighborhood as Murder Inc., Jarl, Irv Gotti and those guys. Funny. But all this shows is that the streets is not a reflection of the music is a reflection of the streets. Even bigger than that though, this is the home of the legendary Jam Master Jay. The housing development in this area of Hollis, Queens is called the Crystal Apartments. Rest in peace to Jam Master Jay, that's the hip-hop side of things. Moving along though. Wood City, including its leaders, members and associates, constituted as an enterprise. As for Snow Gang, their leader, 16-year-old Daquin, was locked up on gun charges. Between August and October 2013, he placed phone calls from Rikers Island to his 17-year-old cousin Mike. Allegedly, he instructed Mike, in sum and substance, to tell other members of the Snow Gang to commit robberies to raise money for his bail. So, Raquin, Nashian, and Daniel, acting in concert and on the orders of Daquin and another alleged Snow Gang leader named Willie, approached a 20-year-old male individual at the intersection of 134 Avenue and Breworth Boulevard. It was almost 6 in the evening when they displayed a firearm and stole his iPod. They would be indicted for this almost a year in section of 134 Avenue and Breworth Boulevard. It was almost 6 in the evening when they displayed a firearm and stole his iPod. They would be indicted for this almost a year later. As for Daquin, around this same time in October, he got into a fight with a CO. We can't show this on here, so you know what to do, watch on Patreon. Anyway, Daquin walks up to the CO and swipes at his hand. The officer hits Daquin with a good right hand and tried to follow up. Daquin responded by slamming the officer to the floor and punching him in the face 4 times. The CO was knocked out. Daquin was subsequently charged with felony assault on an officer and tossed into solitary after the fight. Much must have not come of the situation, and the Snow Gang members must have raised enough money to get Daquin out, because in December of 2013, Daquin was on the street only to get named again. NYPD transit cops said they saw him and another dude named Bo give only one swipe of their MetroCard when they entered a turnstile at the Parsons Archer subway station at the same time. When the officers arrested the Southeast Queens teens, they allegedly discovered a 9mm and a loaded mag.
If you're gonna be moving like that, you're gonna at least gotta have 2 swipes on the MetroCard. The Joan cost at least $300.
Magazine. The two were charged with possession of a weapon and theft of service. On March 30, 2014, Snow Gang member Khalil was shot and killed in a drive-by. That Sunday, a blue 2-door car drove by the home on Lakewood Avenue, where he and a friend were hanging out. A gunman in the passenger seat opened fire through the window. Khalil was hit in the chest and was dead by the time he arrived at Jamaica Hospital. He was only 17 at the time. His friend, an 18-year-old man, took a bullet in the leg and was taken to the hospital in stable condition. In light of this, Snow Gang, Young Bosses, and the Mobbed Out Bosses gang conspired to kill 2 prominent members of Wood City, Nick and Laden. In May of that year, Nick was caught by law enforcement with a gun near Sayers Avenue and 167th Street. As for Laden, he had a history with the law himself. For sure, a day or 2 after the murder of Khalil, 9 members of the Snow Gang, Ja, Sean, Lael, Jus, Akel, X, Trev, Danny and Darren, gathered in Montpelier Park in Springfield Gardens. When they were confronted by police, they ran away, but were quickly apprehended. They were planning to spin on the ops, Wood City. The 9 were charged with possessing a loaded defaced handgun and, with the addition of Chris, with stealing and operating a 1996 Honda Accord. Sometime in April of 2014, cops would question Wood City gang member Laden for a shooting and also for his involvement in the Khalil murder. Not sure what came of that. By November of that year though, he would be the victim of a shooting. One afternoon, officers, Raghunath and Craig Lalla, arrived at a home near 109th Avenue to what seemed like a robbery in progress. It was around 1 p.m., after hearing a woman yelling from the 2nd floor. The woman had heard somebody breaking things downstairs and called a neighbor, who phoned police, Boy said. The officers did a perimeter check and found the back door was broken. They went inside and made it to the living room in the front of the home before Laden popped out and attacked, striking Ragunath over the head. It was not immediately clear what Laden hit the cop with. Both a crowbar and a hammer which the teen had used to break into the home were in easy reach. The two cops fired 3 times, hitting twice. Jewelry and burglary tools were found strewn about the floor. The Wood City gang member has 13 priors for gun possession, criminal possession of stolen property, criminal trespass, criminal mischief and assault. As for Daquin, the leader of Snow Gang, he was convicted in Queens County in 2015 of the felonies of criminal possession of a weapon and attempted robbery. He entered Coxsackie Correctional Facility on December 28, 2015 and began a 4-year sentence. State records show that Daquin was just 3 days shy of his scheduled release date when this happens. One morning, he was arrested while confined after an alleged assault on officers. It was said that at the top of a staircase, Monroe pulled his hands out of his pockets and punched one corrections officer in the right jaw. They both fell down the stairs together to the next level, where Daquin broke free and ran down the remaining stairs. He was tackled by several other responding corrections officers. After he was placed in mechanical restraints, he was taken to the prison's clinic, where he fell to the ground and claimed he was unable to walk. When approached by another corrections officer, Daquin grabbed her left hand and twisted it, after which another struggle ensued, and he kicked a third officer in the face and arm, before he was restrained and treated at the clinic. After this, he was transferred to Greenhaven. Meanwhile, the war was still on in the streets. 6 Wood City gang members ages 22 to 29 would be busted for a string of 2017 murder attempts on the Snow Gang, after a Snow Gang member allegedly targeted someone in the Wood City. K, 22, was accused of retaliating by trying to kill 2 rivals. He was followed by 23-year-old Brandon and 22-year-old James, who allegedly gunned down a Snow Gang member in a May 24, 2017 murder attempt. Ballistics showed the gun used in the shooting belonged to Brandon. Brandon was recorded implicating himself and James in the hit job during a weird phone call the next day. Also, 2 other Wood City members, Meech and Banger, were also accused of participating in a shooting on June 13, 2017. Nick, who we spoke about earlier, would be indicted for conspiracy later on down the line. In late January of 2019, him and Brandon would allegedly refuse to step back into a holding cell before pummeling officers at the Queens Detention Center Annex in Kew Gardens. They were headed back to Rikers Island after a court date for conspiracy and attempted murder charges. By summer of 2019, both sides would lose a member, only hours apart. You might be familiar with this situation, let's get into it. In this story, we have CW1. CW1 is an associate of a set of the Blood Street Gang, which multiple Wood City members associate. CW1 has pleaded guilty to racketeering, narcotics distribution, bank fraud, and firearms offenses, pursuant to a cooperation agreement with the government in the hope of receiving leniency at sentencing. CW1 also has a prior conviction for robbery. CW1's information has been corroborated by other information. On August 26, 2019, Christopher Acevedo, a member of Wood City Street, shot and killed David Hutchison, a member of the rival Snow Gang, in retaliation for Snow Gang members having stolen a chain from prominent Wood City member and recording artist, Shawny bin Laden. Snow Gang taunted Shawny bin Laden and others after the robbery of the chain and social media postings. Based on information provided by CS1 and law enforcement's postings, taunted Shawny bin Laden and others after the robbery of the chain and social media postings. Based on information provided by CS1 and law enforcement's investigation, Christopher Acevedo was an original member of Wood City. CW1 and CS1 have advised that Christopher goes by the street name SA. CS1 has advised that SA is the leader of Wood City, and that Shawny bin Laden has held the position of second in command. CS1 advised that SA had been incarcerated for a significant period of time prior to the events described herein, and that during that time period, another Wood City member was in charge of the gang. As for SA, he is pictured in multiple social media postings, including in a video posted on YouTube, holding his fingers in the shape of the letter W. The W refers to Wood City. On or about June 11, 2019, Shawny bin Laden posted a picture of himself wearing a gold chain with the letters YTB and used the yellow and black striped barricade emoji on the post. Based on information provided by CW1 and CS1, on or about August 26, 2019, at approximately 12 p.m., multiple members of the Snow Gang went to a recording studio in Hillside, Queens, and stole a gold chain with the letters YTB from Shawny bin Laden. On the day of David Hutchinson's homicide, they each saw a video posted on social media by Snow Gang members, boasting about the Snow Gang having taken a chain that belonged to Shawny bin Laden. Surveillance video from the exterior of the recording studio, where Shawny bin Laden was located, appears to show two Snow Gang members chasing him. Shawny bin Laden can be seen leaving the second-floor window of the recording studio and walking onto a red awning of a barbershop before climbing over a railing on the adjacent building. As he was doing that, Snow Gang member 1 can be seen following Shawny bin Laden out of the window and appearing to chase him to the next building. Snow Gang member 2 briefly looks out the window and then returns inside. Snow Gang member 2 can be seen entering the building where Shawny bin Laden fled. Snow Gang member 1 and Snow Gang member 2 pulled firearms on Shawny bin Laden and took the YTB chain. Approximately 3 hours after the chain snatching, at approximately 3:40 p.m., David Hutchinson was seated in the driver's seat of a white 2019 Dodge Charger vehicle parked in the vicinity of Gardens Deli, located at 14014 Springfield Boulevard, when Christopher Acevedo, her SA, pulled up next to Hutchinson's vehicle in a white BMW vehicle and discharged at least 11 gunshots into the front seat of Hutchinson's vehicle. Surveillance video obtained from Gardens Deli showed the deli's exterior. Prior to the shooting, a white 2019 Dodge Charger pulled up in front of Gardens Deli. From the surveillance video, it appears that Hutchinson had traveled to the deli with Snow Gang member 1, who stole the YTB chain, and another known member of Snow Gang member 3. Just prior to Hutchinson arriving at the deli, the surveillance video shows Snow Gang member 3 wearing a teal-colored shirt running south on Springfield Boulevard and into the deli. As Snow Gang member 3 entered the deli, the security camera footage showed that the white Dodge Charger being driven by Hutchinson arrived and parked in front of the deli on Springfield Boulevard. After the white Dodge Charger parked, Snow Gang member 1 exited from the rear driver's door of the vehicle and went around to the rear passenger side of the vehicle. That Snow Gang member 1 was wearing a gold chain around his neck that appeared to have the letters YTB on it. Approximately 30 seconds after the white Dodge Charger parked, a white BMW vehicle pulled alongside the white Dodge Charger. The driver of the BMW can be observed on video leaning across the front passenger seat of the BMW and firing a semi-automatic weapon into the Dodge Charger's front driver's seat, where Hutchinson was located. After discharging at least 11 gunshots, the driver of the BMW can be seen driving south on Springfield Boulevard. Snow Gang member 1 runs out of the rear passenger seat of the white Dodge Charger, gesturing toward the white Dodge Charger, and quickly puts a gold chain with the letter YTB under his black t-shirt. According to NYPD reports, law enforcement officers responded to calls reporting a shooting at Gardens Deli and found David Hutchinson unconscious in the front driver's seat of the Dodge Charger. Hutchinson was transported to Jamaica Hospital and pronounced dead at approximately 4:18 p.m., having sustained 3 gunshots in the front driver's seat. According to NYPD reports, law enforcement officers responded to calls reporting a shooting at Gardens Deli and found David Hutchinson unconscious in the front driver's seat of the Dodge Charger. Hutchinson was transported to Jamaica Hospital and pronounced dead at approximately 4:18 p.m., having sustained 3 gunshot wounds, including one to the torso. The BMW was registered to SA's mom's. Following the murder, SA provides the white BMW to his girlfriend to hide. CW1 has advised that after David Hutchinson's homicide, a male individual was contacted by SA's girl. Another person then assisted the girlfriend in moving the vehicle to a residence in Nassau County. 6 hours after the murder of Hutchinson, a gang member was executed in a drive-by double homicide. He was wanted for questioning in a similar slaying, the murder of Hutchinson. Investigators were looking to speak with Antoine Folkes, 23, a reputed member of the Queens-based Snow Gang, when a gunman in a white SUV riddled his car with bullets on a Rosedale street. He and another man, Marcellus Shields, 21, died on the scene. Before killing the duo, the shooter passed by their 2018 Kia Soul to check they were inside. He then pulled a U-turn on 255th Street by 149th Drive and opened fire just before 9:25 p.m. Detectives believed the double killing was linked to the gang-related murder of David Hutchinson. Folkes was believed to have witnessed that killing, sources said. Folkes and Shields both had criminal pasts, and in September 2014, Folkes was arrested on conspiracy charges in an earlier Snow Gang indictment. He pleaded guilty as a youthful offender and got 90 days in jail. After all this, there is not much to mention of significance as a part of the war, but members have still managed to make the news for independent crimes. For instance, in 2021, Aquilio, a member of the Snow Gang, turned himself in and was held after he was accused of helping transport the body of a sex worker stuffed into a plastic barrel from New York to New Jersey after she died in a Manhattan apartment building. Surveillance video, which has not been released to the public, purportedly showed Parker meeting 42-year-old Flanagan, a mom of 3, when she arrived by a livery cab in Manhattan's financial district just before 2 a.m. on August 6, entering the building, before riding up to its 11th floor. Investigators had previously said that Flanagan was accompanied by a 25-year-old gang member that was a person of interest in the investigation. Parker was then allegedly seen bringing a large barrel into the building at 95 Wall Street on August 11, which contains offices and rental apartments. The next day he was seen again, bringing the barrel out and loading it in a U-Haul van that had been parked outside, around 10:45 p.m., according to cops. No one else has been arrested in connection to the crime. At this point, it is not known if Parker's charges will be upgraded to murder, with a cause of Flanagan's death yet to be established. Flanagan, a high-end escort and resident of the Bronx, was originally from Queens. The mother of 3 who has family in Connecticut had lost contact with her family after she started having problems with drugs and alcohol, a family friend told the New York Post. She was most recently living alone in an apartment building in the Bronx's Woodlawn neighborhood. Law enforcement sources described her as a prostitute with a record of arrests on drug charges. Flanagan was last seen alive on August 6. Moments after Flanagan and Parker met on the street on August 6, they were captured on surveillance video riding an elevator to the 22nd floor of the apartment building at 95 Wall Street later that morning. Around 10:45 a.m., Parker bought several scented candles at a Duane Reade store across the street, sources said. 5 days later, on August 11, he arrived at the building in a livery car and walked in while carrying a large plastic barrel. When a security guard questioned him, he allegedly said he was using the barrel to move out. The next day, a U-Haul van with Arizona plates arrived at the rear service entrance to 95 Wall around 9:30 p.m., driven by an unidentified male. Parker was seen conferring with the driver and grabbing a moving cart from the van. The men then went up to the 22nd floor and were seen using the cart to roll the barrel out the rear of the building around 10 p.m. On August 13, Flanagan's decomposing body was found inside a 55-gallon plastic drum that was left in a residential neighborhood in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, after residents called cops about the foul odor coming from it. Her body was found undressed and with no evident injuries on August 13 and identified on August 20 by the Bergen County Prosecutor Office. Other evidence tying Flanagan to the gang member was found on her cell phone, which showed his number was the last one she called shortly before the rendezvous. The phone was found outside the Wall Street Grill restaurant, about 3 blocks away, by the eatery's manager around 8:15 p.m. on August 9. Not too long after this we had another situation. A suspect accused of killing a Columbia University grad student and stabbing an Italian tourist in a demented Manhattan crime spree was a career criminal who was out on parole for a gang attack. Gieri, 30, died around 11 at night after police say he was stabbed in the stomach by Vincent, who allegedly went on to wound an Italian tourist, Robert Malestina, 27, outside Central Park before menacing another man, 29, with a large kitchen knife as the victim strolled the park with his girlfriend. Vincent is a member of Everybody Killers, EBK. He has at least 11 prior arrests dating back to 2012 and was out on parole for a 2015 gang assault. He was released from prison in June 2018 after serving a 4-year sentence for a brutal attack in which he and 3 accomplices slashed, punched and kicked a victim in an assault that was caught on camera. Also, we can talk about Meech. We mentioned him earlier in the story and was years older than most of the others we mentioned as well. He was one of 3 men arrested by Pittsfield police early in 2022 in an investigation into neighborhood complaints about drug dealing from an apartment at Summer Street. Meech was at the apartment when law enforcement raided the crib that January. They found coke, heroin, and materials to cook it up. He was due in court later this year, but was killed on July 6 in Jamaica, Queens. It happened at about 11:30 p.m. Meech was found in the back seat of a vehicle that was parked in front of his address after police responded to a report of gunshots. He had been shot twice, with wounds to the neck and chest. A second man, who was 28, showed up at that hospital with gunshot wounds and said he was shot in the same place as Meech. That man was treated and was in stable condition. New York City authorities continue to probe Anderson's death. There are no arrests and the investigation remains ongoing at this time. Yeah, but this about wraps it up for this one. Not really much to say for right now. But as always, stay low and thanks.
This could be the largest gang takedown in history in the borough of Queens. Shooting down the 14-year-old Amir Griffin. That boy was playing on a Queens basketball court with friends in 2019 when he was hit by a stray bullet.
It's your boy Jay checking in. Listen up, 2 gangs at war with each other led to 22 shootings, the confiscation of over 30 firearms.
You see that old John? They wild for this. And this too. I understand this. This is crazy.
And over 30 arrests, but not before it claimed the life of a 14-year-old and others. A 3-year-long investigation in the Baisley Project of Jamaica, Queens, and New York led to a 151-count indictment given to members ranging from ages 17 to 40, and a face slashing in 2019 is what started this rivalry. On April 16, 2019 at 4:43 p.m., Money World member See Me 48 and Naughty beat up a trap star. 2019 is what started this rivalry. On April 16, 2019 at 4:43 p.m., Money World member See Me 48 and Naughty beat up a trap star member, then gave him a non-fatal slash into his throat, which would set off the war. For some members of the gang, it was their first time at this type of rivalry, but for other members, it was just another day at war, like See Me 48. On October 23, 2019 at 7:53 p.m., See Me 48 ran into 18-year-old David LaPonte at a party. David was a rival gang member. See Me 48 watched him the entire night of the party, and when David was leaving, See Me 48 followed him onto a street where he began to beat up David. David began fleeing, and this is when See Me 48 will pull out a .380 and fire one shot that struck David in the back of his head. This single shot killed David 2 days later. That struck again was leaving. See Me 48 followed him on 48, watched him the entire night of the party, and when David was leaving, See Me 48 followed him onto a street where he began to beat up David. David began fleeing, and this is when See Me 48 will pull out a .380 and fire one shot that struck David in the back of his head. This single shot killed David 2 days later, and See Me 48 was arrested 5 days later in connection with the murder. But while See Me 48 was being arrested, his fellow gang members were allegedly catching the body as well.
Amir Griffin, who is also known as Buddy, who lived here in South Jamaica, Queens.
On October 26, 2019, Amir Griffin was playing basketball in Baisley Park houses when Money World member SB Baller shot and killed Griffin in a case of mistaken identity. SB fired 3 shots from a .380, one bullet hitting Griffin in the upper chest. Video footage allegedly shows him running from the crime scene in the aftermath, fleeing to fellow Money World member Naughty's home, where he gave SB a change of clothes and even offered him to stay the night, helping him stay low from the police. Money World member G-Baby and Hoglo would next make a song called Dead Ops, where he taunts the rival gang by calling names of deceased, including 14-year-old Amir Griffin, where in one lyric G-Baby says, AG got shot in the face. The murder of Amir Griffin, on top of the blatant disrespect, would inflame the war between the two gangs even more. On January 28, 2020, outside of Marvin Van High School, trap star Coco B and his fellow gang members would approach Money World member G-Baby and shoot him in the leg. On March 14, 2020, Money World members L. Dot and SB Baller walked through Basely Projects and began shooting in the playground at their ops. A few hours later, trap star members Zaza Ace and Eli drove by Money World member Kai Bowler's home and opened fire. 48 hours later, Coco B was shot once in the chest by an assumed rival gang member in Jamaica, Queens. He survived this shot. On July 3, 2020, trap stars followed an op leaving the Umbrella Hotel on Queens Boulevard. A shootout began outside the hotel between the rival gangs. Trap star member Zaza shot Money World member Santa in the leg. And if the feud wasn't dangerous enough, it would take a deadlier turn hours before the start of the new year. On December 31, 2020 at 7:30 p.m., Sean Vance was in his BMW double parked in Jamaica, Queens, when a Honda sedan driven by Money World member Bankroll pulled up alongside the BMW. Money World member Naughty got out the Honda and fired 8 shots at Sean, all striking and killing him. Naughty, Bankroll, Kai Bowler, and Jay Bands plotted this murder in revenge, as it was believed by them that Sean was involved with the shooting of Money World member SB Baller earlier that same day. On August 23, 2022, Meloso opened fire on the Baisley Park project building from a vehicle driven by Stephen Raphael. Meloso only hit an innocent bystander and almost struck a 7-year-old child. Meloso went missing when he was 13, either by running away or by abduction, and this is how he was rediscovered. On January 21, 2023, Money World member Kai Bowler shot at trap star members including Coco B, who was shot again, this time in the arm. An innocent bystander was hit in the shoulder. It's pretty much shoot on sight when they see the opposition, and a lot of times, innocent people are caught in the middle of it, said Sergeant Jeffrey Liu, case supervisor of the NYPD's Gun Violence Suppression Division. In this heated rivalry, it's not based over money or drugs, but pretty much just over territory. On March 21, 2023, prosecutors unsealed a 151-count indictment against 33 total members. At the raid scene, detectives arrest suspects they are looking for and take them into custody. All of the suspects are presumed innocent until proven guilty, but the NYPD said they have more than enough evidence to support the charges so that they will not be able to shoot anyone again for a very long time. That's all I have for you right now. Let me know what you think about this. Hit the sub, drop a comment, leave a like. I drop daily content. I'm out.